So today we have a very special young author joining us. We have Miss Elisabeth Forrester. Hello, Elisabeth.
Hello.
We're so excited to have you here at Bosler Memorial Library for this interview. Thank you so much for saying yes to us. We are all, on behalf of all the staff members, directors, and myself, we just want to congratulate you on your first published book. And we really want to talk a little bit about that, and also we want to talk about your process as a young author and the things that you have overcome and the things that you are looking forward to in the future. So let's start with, this is your first published novel. It is a historical fiction novel, and we understand that the whole inspiration for that, it came when you were actually at a summer camp in 2016 with Bosler Memorial Library. So can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, it was an American Girl-based camp on one of the books with a character from the 1930s. And I was kind of fascinated by the period because of how they practically reused everything, and you know how they lived and what they ate and things like that. So it kind of inspired me to even get my own typewriter for Christmas.
Oh, that's amazing. So are you then, you were born and raised in Carlisle?
Yes.
Yes.
I was.
Okay. And how was that interaction that you had with learning about all the historical sites that we have in Carlisle, the ones that we used to have too, because you have in your novel some places that were a big thing back then that are maybe not the thing now. Can you talk to us a little about that journey?
Well, it was very, very fun researching Carlisle because I thought it was very fascinating finding out about the history of where I lived, and about the different things that were big back then and aren't very big now. Actually, on the square there was a big market house. That was where the first chapter of Sophie's character took place. So I think they actually ended up destroying it to build something else. I don't quite remember what they built there, but
Gotcha.
yeah.
And you talk about Sophie, and I feel that, well, there are too many characters to the novel. We have Laura and we have Sophie. How did you develop those characters and their traits?
Well, most of the characters were based off of some of the people that I actually knew. Like, I gave Laura and Sophie some of the traits that I had, because in some points they were very clever and very they were quick on their feet.
Yeah.
They would think of solutions right away. And also some of the other traits were based on some of my friends or other people that I know.
Do you identify more with Laura or with Sophie?
Probably with Laura.
Laura?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so regarding the characters too, I know they have a scene where they are baking a grandma's birthday cake, and I thought it was just so witty and so clever to have that in the book. How did you come up with the idea of having that recipe just put there on the book, and have you done that before?
Well, we were sure that as soon as we figured out that the second wish visit was going to be Sophie's birthday, we knew that they needed to have a birthday cake. So we went on a website actually and searched depression recipes, and that was one that came up. So we just decided right away to use that one because it was based off of ingredients that they would have had in their own cupboards back then.
Of course.
So they wouldn't have, I don't quite remember what ingredients weren't included, but they were ingredients that would have been more expensive that some people might not have had.
Gotcha. And have you done the cake before?
Yes, I have.
You
actually.
have?
We baked it as a Thanksgiving dessert.
That is so cool.
It was delicious.
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
I was reading into it, and I read the powdered sugar on top, and I was like, this is perfect.
It was delicious.
And also, one of the things that I really liked and captured the attention was that magical realism presence that you have. Did you started out the whole idea knowing right off the bat that that's what you wanted to like, that fusion between history and magical realism, is that what you had envisioned all along, or was this just something that felt right?
Well, I knew that I wanted to write a historical fiction, but I wasn't quite sure that I was going to have that kind of sense of magic in it until later on when I wanted Laura to time travel.
Gotcha.
That's when actually the old woman who gives her the twig is inspired from a television show, actually. It's called Just Add Magic.
Okay.
It's an Amazon premiere. And they had this old woman who came and they gave them a special recipe that would save their grandmother. And so she was in the woods, and whenever they looked back, she disappeared and things like that. And so I inspired that character from that show, and that's how Laura got her twig.
That is amazing. Do you think Laura, when she got it, she was more frightened about like the old woman? Because she felt a little at ease from what I read. But then how did you portray that moment for her?
I don't think she would be more scared. I think she'd be more surprised that she was kind of having this experience, because you wouldn't really go into the woods and expect that an old woman would give you a twig.
Yeah.
I thought she was kind of like surprised and stunned that it had happened, and just kind of let it blow over with s'mores with her dad by the fire.
That was so sweet. That was so sweet. Also, one of the other things that really captured my attention was the presence of Sophie's family. Is not as there in the novel as concept because she's having the interactions with Laura, but it was very beautiful to see how Sophie's family really support her. Like when she got the typewriter, or when they were actually trying to get the twig and Dot wouldn't like let it, and she needed to call her mom and her dad for help, and they didn't understand exactly why that was so important, but they helped her out. And I believe you have such a important issue. Like you address that in a very subtle way, but in a very powerful and meaningful way. You're talking about how important it is for parents to also support their children, even if they don't understand what's going on exactly. And I have a feeling that that might just be also, in a way, your experience with your family. So can you talk to us a little bit about how this whole experience has been, and how you also incorporated, and your family have been like that ladder of support for you?
Yeah, well, they've always kind of been there. They've always kind of helped me. I would come home with some of my stories. My mom would sometimes help me brainstorm, and she was always very willing to, like, if I needed to go somewhere, we took a tour of the Swarmer Mansion actually, and she drove me there, and she helped me, and she walked me around with my gifted support teacher and our tour guide. She took me to many meetings at the Historical Society to do some more research information, and so I just kind of took those traits that she had and I put them into Sophie's parents.
Also then, what would you say to like young aspiring like writers?
Well, I would say to the young authors that if they like to write, that they should treasure and cherish their gift, and that they should keep writing, and that they could really do anything if they put their mind to it.
Great. And for parents, what would you say to them?
I would probably say that they should probably strive to, if they start a project, they should always try to get it done, because usually the outcomes of it are very positive. And I would also say that with proper support from the adults in a child's life, they can go really far.
Ms. Elisabeth Forrester, thank you so much for being with us here today. Well, this has been a segment of Bosler Buzz, and back to you, Jeff.